Good afternoon. I'm Piero Done, the director of Fermilab, and I welcome you to this celebration of the Tevatron final run.
When you come back to the control room, I will be asking Helen to push this red button, and a number of things will happen. The light will go out in the red button. There'll be a really obnoxious sound. It's a sound that would get our attention really easily in a control room that something bad just happened. Then if you look at this display up here, and you look at the red line, which matches the red button, you will end up seeing very quickly this thing go to 0.
I've been with this machine a very long time. When I was a graduate student, in October of 1983 is when they actually first turned on the accelerator. They weren't circulating beams in both directions, but just in one direction and shooting it out to the fixed target area. And there I sat out in the fixed target area, and our experiment was the first to get beam out of this machine. And as soon as we got signals on the oscilloscope, and I'm sitting there literally with my face glued to this hood looking at the oscilloscope, we were supposed to call the main control room and confirm that everything was okay. So I'd like to think that I've seen both the first particles come out of this machine and the last.
The Tevatron, the experiments there were really unique. You really, by the end, felt like a family, and it became small and close-knit. We knew what we were doing.
It changes things in your head. It's I've always had this mentality, like we're collecting more and more data. We're this ongoing, evolving thing, and we're still going to be evolving. We're still going to be improving our measurements and our searches for the Higgs boson. So the people part of the equation isn't changing. Just the fact that now I know how much data we've collected. That number isn't going to get any bigger. None of these detectors are going to see top quarks anymore. I mean, it's just over. I don't even know how we're gonna do this. They're going to turn it into a museum.
28 years, I guess, of this machine operating. It's always been a constant in my whole career. So to see it really definitively end is a very strange feeling.
After we get a few seconds go by, we'll then ask Helen to push the blue button, and the blue button will end up turning off the electrical current to the Tevatron, and basically will stop powering the 4-mile ring of superconducting magnets.
At 2:30 a.m. on October 13th, 1985, there was a graduate student sitting in front of this event display. Rick Snyder was sitting there, and he said, "Hey, look at this!" And he pointed, and everyone around the room kind of stared at it, and they all yelled, "Print out that event." Eventually they convinced themselves that yes, they had seen the first proton-antiproton collision at 1600 GeV, and more than that, it appears that the laws of the strong force were actually holding up at 1600 GeV, and we were to find later on for the next 25 years that the Standard Model did pretty much look like it was supposed to.
And for the Higgs boson, the Tevatron is still very much relevant. The LHC eventually will push past the Tevatron in sensitivity, but right now, for the next half a year or so, what happens here makes a big difference in the search for the Higgs. And the Tevatron could get to the very lowest end of the remaining open mass range for the Higgs boson before the LHC does.
We're going to put out our final Higgs results for the Tevatron, and it's very possible that we could be excluding the Higgs boson across the entire mass range that we've been searching it for.
We're looking forward to the publications for next year, and yet everybody's going, "Meow." And all these people who haven't seen in years are showing up to celebrate the end of an era, and some of us are still working or are still like, well, wait, we're still trying to get publications out.
Yeah, we're not done yet.
Not done yet.
So at this stage, we are now ready to terminate the beam in the Tevatron. So I'd like to ask Helen if you would please push the beam and terminate the Tevatron.
Please, don't forget us!
As you can see on the red display, the line has gone to 0, so there is no longer any colliding beams of protons and antiprotons in the Tevatron. At this time, I'd like to ask Helen to push the blue button to terminate the ramp, and end the current in the Tevatron magnets. Well, the light worked. There it goes. It didn't want to give up so easy.
Come back in probably another year and a half, something like that. Come back in, the detector will be all taken apart, rolled out, the radiation will be gone, posters, and we're gonna party tonight. The band will be playing.